It's the background radiation of the modern workplace, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You can feel it in the Slack channels and the all-hands meetings, even if no one says it out loud.
Yeah.
It's that low-level, gnawing question.
Is the software eventually going to do my job better than I can?
Exactly.
It is the defining anxiety of, well, of the 2020s. And frankly, if you look at the headlines, ChatGPT passes the bar exam, AI wins an art competition.
Coders being replaced by Copilot.
Yeah, it feels rational to be afraid. We are looking at a future that, it feels like it's being built to make us obsolete.
Right. And usually the narrative just stops there. It's all doom and gloom. We assume that when people are scared for their jobs, they just shut down.
They panic, they burn out, or they start quietly updating their resumes on the side.
But we have a stack of research on the desk today that claims something, honestly, pretty counterintuitive.
It's a complete paradox. It
Yeah.
really challenges everything we assume about how fear operates in the brain.
The premise is this. Under the right conditions, thinking a robot is coming for your job doesn't paralyze you. It makes you more creative.
It sounds impossible, but that's exactly what we're unpacking. We're doing a deep dive into a 2025 study titled Survival of the Creative by Sun and colleagues, published in the Journal of Applied Psychology.
Okay.
They ran multiple studies, lab experiments, field data from tech companies in China to figure out what actually happens in the human brain when it's threatened by an algorithm.
So our mission today is figure out the mechanics of that paradox.
Yeah.
How does fear, transmute into innovation?
And crucially,
because there is a massive warning label on this research, we need to look at why this backfires for so many companies. Because I suspect you can't just walk into the office and scream, AI is coming.
and expect your revenue to double?
No.
Definitely not. In fact, if you do that wrong, you just break your workforce. But if you understand the psychology, you can actually harness it.
Okay, so let's start by defining the monster under the bed. The study distinguishes between general job insecurity, like, say, a recession, and this specific AI displacement threat. Why does that distinction matter so much?
It matters because of where the threat lands. General job insecurity is economic. The company's losing money, so they might cut 10% of the staff.
That's scary, but it's impersonal.
It's impersonal. It's just math. You can tell yourself, it's not me, it's the market.
Whereas AI displacement feels deeply personal.
It targets your competence. It attacks your professional identity. The fear isn't just, I might lose my paycheck. The fear is, this machine can do the specific thing I spent 10 years mastering, but faster, cheaper, and with fewer errors.
It makes you question your utility as a thinking being.
It does. And we aren't just talking about assembly lines anymore. That's the old mental model automation replacing manual labor.
Right.
This study focuses on knowledge workers, writers, coders, analysts, graphic designers, people who thought their human touch was, an impenetrable shield.
The shield is gone.
It really is. Whether you're in R&D or marketing, if you see a system that can process information or generate ideas instantly, that displacement threat triggers in your brain.
Okay, but here is where the survival of the creative finding kicks in.
This is the twist. The researchers found that when this specific threat goes up, for a specific group of people, creative output spikes.
Walk me through the psychology there, because if I feel threatened, my instinct is usually to hide. Keep my head down, don't make waves, just do exactly what I'm told so I don't give anyone a reason to fire me.
Right.
Why are these people doing the opposite?
The researchers call it promotion-focused engagement. And think about the nature of the threat for a second. If you're worried about a recession, hiding works.
Sure, you just want to be the safe pair of hands.
Exactly. But if you're worried about AI, hiding is suicide.
Because the AI is already the safe pair of hands. It's consistent. It doesn't make typos. It doesn't get tired or, ask for a raise.
Correct. You cannot beat the machine at consistency or speed. So your brain instinctively pivots. It realizes, I have to prove I am different from the machine.
You have to differentiate.
And the only way to differentiate from a logic engine is to be, well, not illogical, but creative. You lean into novelty.
So it's a flight to quality. I stop trying to be the fastest email writer, and I start trying to be the most insightful strategist. I lean into the messiness, the nuance, the stuff the large language model just hallucinates on.
You're trying to demonstrate unique human value. The study calls it identity preservation. You use creativity as a way to say, look, I am still necessary. I can connect these two unrelated dots that the model missed.
I can frame a problem in a way the data didn't suggest.
Yes, it's a survival mechanism.
I create, therefore I stay employed.
In a nutshell, yes. But, and we have to stress this This is not a universal reaction.
This is the warning label part,
Sure.
because surely plenty of people just freeze.
They do. The researchers identified two critical conditions that act like gatekeepers. If you don't have them, the fear just destroys you. The first condition is high intrinsic motivation.
Which in plain English means you actually have to give a damn about the work itself.
You have to find meaning in the activity. If you're a coder who loves solving puzzles or a writer who loves crafting sentences, you will fight to prove you're better than the bot.
Okay.
But if you're purely extrinsically motivated, if you're just there for the salary, the study shows the effect just collapses.
That makes perfect sense. If I'm just punching a clock and an AI shows up that can punch the clock for me, I'm not going to suddenly become a creative genius.
No.
I'm just going to look for a lifeboat. I'll withdraw.
Exactly. You disengage. Why fight a battle you don't care about winning? But the second condition is the one that leaders really need to pay attention to.
Okay.
You can have a highly motivated employee, someone who loves their craft, but they still won't get that creative boost if they lack this second element,
Which is?
supervisory support.
They need a boss who has their back.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, but the mechanism is specific. The study found a three-way interaction. The highest creativity came from people who felt threatened by AI, loved their work, and had high support.
And if you took the support away,
If you removed the support, the creativity vanished, even in the motivated people.
well, think about the risk profile.
Yeah.
If I'm going to try to out-create a supercomputer, I have to take big swings. I have to try things that might fail.
Of course.
If I have a boss who punishes failure or who I think is looking for an excuse to fire me,
You freeze.
Yeah.
You revert to routine. Psychological safety is the absolute floor for this entire phenomenon. If you don't feel safe enough to experiment, you can't differentiate yourself from the AI.
you just become a slower, more anxious version of the software.
Precisely.
And I imagine this takes a toll. Even if you are innovating, even if you're in that creative survival mode, that just sounds exhausting.
It is incredibly taxing. The source material highlights the cognitive burden. You aren't just doing your job, you're constantly scanning the horizon, benchmarking yourself against an exponentially improving technology.
It's vigilance fatigue.
It really is. It shifts the daily question from, how do I solve this problem, to, am I still valuable as a human being?
That's a heavy backpack to wear to the office every day.
It is. And it leads to things like knowledge hoarding. If I feel like my creative insight is the only thing saving me from the unemployment line, I'm not going to share it with you.
No, I'm going to protect it.
Right. So while individual creativity might go up, team collaboration can actually tank if it's not managed well.
So let's pivot to the practical side, because this is happening right now. If we accept that the fear is real and the potential for creativity is real, how do we build the bridge?
Yeah.
If I'm a manager, what does support actually look like here?
Yeah.
Because saying, don't worry about it, feels like a lie.
Don't worry is the worst thing you can say. It's just false reassurance. The study suggests two types of necessary support: instrumental and emotional.
Okay, break those down.
Instrumental support is tactical. It's giving people the resources, the training, and crucially, the autonomy they need.
Autonomy.
Yes. The research on intrinsic motivation is clear. Humans need to feel a sense of agency. If the AI dictates what creates value, the manager needs to ensure the human has control over how that value is delivered.
So if the AI writes the first draft of the report, I need the autonomy to decide the strategy behind it,
Right.
or how we present it to the client.
Exactly.
I need to feel like the pilot, not the passenger.
Precisely. And then there's emotional support. And this isn't about being a therapist, it's about validation. It's acknowledging the reality of the threat.
So a leader saying, I know this tool is changing everything and it's unsettling, but we are going to navigate how your role evolves together.
That's it. That validation lowers the panic response. It signals, I am not secretly planning to replace you next Tuesday.
Right. Which leads to the communication strategy, because most companies are failing hard at this.
Oh, absolutely. They use these abstract buzzwords: digital transformation, synergy, optimization.
Which every employee translates directly to layoffs.
Ambiguity breeds anxiety. The source material argues for radical specificity. Don't tell me we're optimizing workflows. Tell me we're using this tool to automate data entry for Q3.
Which means you won't have to do the Friday spreadsheets anymore, but we need you to take over the client relationship calls.
Exactly. You have to shine a light on the monster. The monster you can see is manageable. The monster you can't see is terrifying.
And you have to frame it authentically. The experts talk about developmental framing.
Yes, positioning the AI as augmentation, not replacement. But, and this is critical, you cannot fake this. Employees are smart. If you say it's a tool to help you, but you're simultaneously cutting headcount, the trust is gone forever.
This touches on a concept in the reading that I found really profound, the shift in the psychological contract.
This is a fundamental change in the deal between employer and employee. The old contract, the 20th century model was, you give us loyalty, we give you job security.
A seat here for life.
A seat for life, which has been eroding for decades, but AI basically sets fire to the remnants of it.
No company can honestly promise you will have this specific job title in 5 years. The tech moves too fast.
So the new contract is based on employability security.
Employability security. Explain that distinction for us.
It's a shift from protecting the job to protecting the person. The company says, look, we can't promise this role won't be automated, but we promise to invest so heavily in your skills.
Your ability to work with these tools, your human leadership skills.
That you will remain employable, if not here, then somewhere else.
That's a much more adult conversation.
Yeah.
It's admitting that the ground is moving, but promising to give you the best running shoes.
It is the only honest way forward. And it requires a specific type of training. We aren't just talking about how to prompt ChatGPT. We're talking about developing distinctively human capabilities.
The stuff the robot is bad at.
Complex problem framing, ethical judgment, empathy. The study suggests that problem framing is going to be the premium skill of the next decade.
That's interesting. We usually focus on problem solving.
AI is an incredible problem solver. I mean, if you give it a clearly defined math problem or a code error, it wins. But AI is terrible at looking at a messy, ambiguous situation.
Like a toxic team culture or a shifting market trend.
And figuring out what the problem actually is, that requires context, history, intuition.
So we need to train people to be architects of problems, not just solvers of them.
Exactly. And this requires what the source calls just-in-time learning and cross-functional exposure. You need to build generalists.
Why generalist? I thought specialization was the path to value.
Not anymore. Narrow specialists are easy to automate. If your entire job is, I optimize the metadata on this one specific type of file, an algorithm can learn that. But if you're a generalist, if you understand how the metadata connects to the marketing strategy, which connects to the legal compliance, that web of context is very hard for AI to navigate.
So we're building specialists in humanity who understand the broad systems.
Yes. And to keep them engaged, we need to look at work design. How do we structure the actual day? The source suggests job crafting.
Give me an example of job crafting in this context.
Okay, let's take a mid-level marketing manager. Maybe 40% of their week used to be writing basic copy for social posts. AI does that now.
The default corporate move is, great, fire 40% of their team.
Or great, now write 500% more posts.
Yeah.
But job crafting says let the employee redesign that 40% of their time. Maybe they use it to start a mentorship program for juniors. Maybe they use it to do deep dive customer interviews to find new product angles.
You let them pivot into task significance work that feels meaningful and human-centric.
And that actually sounds like a better job.
It does.
That is the optimism hiding in the data. If, and it is a massive if, organizations manage this correctly, we could end up with work that is less repetitive and more intellectually satisfying.
But it requires distributed decision-making. You can't just mandate this from the C-suite.
No. The people doing the work know best where the AI adds value and where it's, a hallucinating nightmare. You need implementation working groups.
Yet the actual copywriters and coders to decide how the tool is used.
It gives them agency back. They stop being victims of the change and become architects of it.
So we've gone from the robots are coming to kill us to the robots might force us to become more creative and human.
The technology is neutral. It's an amplifier. It amplifies the culture you already have. If your culture is fear-based, AI will create panic and burnout. If your culture is support-based, AI can unlock the survival of the creative boost.
The variable isn't the chip speed, it's the leadership.
That's it.
I want to pause on the human aspect before we close, because there is a provocative thought that kept nagging at me while reading this. We keep saying, let the AI do the boring stuff so we can focus on the high-level, creative, intense work.
It's the utopia of meaningful work.
But be honest about your own brain. Sometimes the boring stuff is a relief.
Oh, yeah.
Answering a few easy emails, formatting a slide deck, it's a cognitive break. It lets your brain idle.
That is a profound point. We underestimate the value of mindless work as a recovery mechanism.
Exactly. If we successfully strip mine all the easy tasks out of a job, and what's left is 8 hours of pure, high-stakes, complex, ethical decision-making and creative invention.
That is an intensity of labor that human biology might not be designed for.
We might be solving the boredom problem only to create a cognitive burnout problem that is wildly harder to fix.
It raises a massive question for the future of work design. In a post-AI world, how do we artificially engineer rest into a job that is 100% a cognitive sprint?
If you figure that one out, let me know, because I think we're going to need the answers sooner than we think.
I'll put the AI on it.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for helping us navigate the anxiety.
Always a pleasure.
And for you listening, remember, the fear is valid, but the reaction is a choice. See you next time.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.